Great. So we're live with a little chilled masterclass here today. Even though I'm a little bit in doubt whether anybody really wants digital anymore, but this is our super interactive learning format, and I'm very happy to be launching that today. And I have a special guest today as well, all the way from Holland. We are actually in Holland right now, to be honest. So Ynzo's here, and he's very soon gonna join me for this little impro masterclass session. But anyway, you're probably thinking, what the hell is a masterclass? And I'll open the lid for that. Anyways, for those of you who are on Instagram, sorry, you won't be able to see a slide deck, but maybe that's in fact your little win. For the rest of you guys, you will be able to kind of get a little bit of a sense of what's happening here. So let's hopefully see that this actually does work out. Kind of moving around these phones here. I love when it's so impromptu. Sometimes it's it makes it more fun. But anyway, for the ones of you who are seeing live on any other platform, here we go with a little introduction. Just me talking a lot of pre-recorded BS, but here you are.
Welcome to Masterclass. My name is thomaskolster. I'm the Gordon Ramsay of advertising. Always pissed off about something isn't good enough and not afraid to speak up. In this class, get ready to roll up your sleeves as I'm sharing the tools and tricks you need to build a meaningful business and a meaningful leadership. People no longer buy why you do what you do. Everybody's claiming to be on some sort of value crusade these days. They buy who you can help them become. I'm one of the most authoritative thinkers in marketing and business for good, also known as Mr. Good Advertising. And across lessons, I will give you hands-on exercises and questions that is equipping you with the skill set to become a true catalyst for change. I've worked across more than 70 markets and I've judged almost every global do-good award show there is. I'm the founder and CEO of the Good Advertising Agency, and we have been transforming leaders, organizations, and businesses before doing good was even that cool a thing to do. And a free word of advice: if you can change yourself, you can change the world.
Great. So a bit of multitasking here for kind of getting Instagram and all that other stuff going. But basically what we are launching here today is obviously taking more than a decades of knowledge and kind of trying to put that into a digital learning format. So you can do it on your own pace rather than sitting here and waiting live, while you actually rather want to go out and enjoy the sun wherever you're at. Here in Holland, it was actually quite sunny earlier. So how to shape a meaningful brand. So that could be for people who want to reposition an exercise. It could be for people who just want to avoid the so-called hero trap of purpose branding. Secondly, the class also goes into kind of how to activate it. So lots of fun lessons to be learned there. More than 4 hours of videos, instructional, tons of questions and stuff coming up your way. Each and every session is going to end off with some key takeaways, maybe some challenging questions for a little gray up here. So hopefully you can become a better marketeer. Also, we will be sharing some of our proprietary tools and methodologies, such as the arrow, such as the wheel. So probably one of the key things, in fact, because, you know, and let me share this analogy, but I think all these brands are claiming to do good these days. But, you know, building brands is like a relationship. And, you know, I can say that I'm not always that successful in relationships, I've got to be honest. So like brands in the beginning, they'll try and tell you all this stuff that they're going to improve, you know, like me telling my girlfriend I'm going to put down the toilet seat, or, you know, sweetie, I like you, or whatever it might be. Then that might not be enough. And you start doing through actions, proving to people or your significant other that you do care. Coming with roses, putting the toilet seat down finally, but it won't. At one time, that might not cut it either. And then the key thing here, which the methodology asks, the arrow: who can you in fact help people become? How can you make your significant other feel more valued, feel more loved? And that's sort of some of those tools that you'll be learning here in this session. Also, tons of inspiration. Inspirational cases, other companies who've done something similar. And lastly, you will also be able to download some workshop sheets that you can take with you. So when you're done the 4 hours of nitty-gritty hard work on getting some of this stuff right, yes, you can also download some of this stuff and you can sit together, a group of people, and you can work on it. So that's a bit about Masterclass, and we're obviously very, very pleased for you to join. Today we have 30 spots ready for all of you at a discounted price at $199. Usually it's $299. So you're lucky to be able to get that little opportunity. But enough about me talking about and plugging all this stuff. Let's get to some of the more interesting stuff, in fact, which is to talk about why is learning important and all that stuff. And to give you like a little hint, I told you there's a guy called Ynzo here. And Ynzo works for a company that some of you might know out there that does these amazing... What are they? Come join, Ynzo, come join. So everybody, this is Ynzo. What are we having here?
We're having chocolate, but not just chocolate, I would say. We're having chocolate that's trying to make a difference. So, long story short, there's a very bitter reality to the sweet story of chocolate, which is the huge amount of illegal child labor and even modern slavery within the value chain of cocoa. And what we're trying to do is really show the industry from within that chocolate can be made in a different way, in a more sustainable way, in a more social way, in our humble opinion, simply in a better way. And we launched 15, 16 years ago, merely because people weren't paying attention to what we were saying as journalists in a television show. So we decided to launch our own company, not with the intention of becoming such a global brand, because we're now available in 35 countries across the globe. And still, for us, it's not about creating a global brand. It's not about creating a big company. It's really about creating a global movement of change in the cocoa industry. And that's what we're working hard on. And we do that trying to have as much fun as possible at the same time. So it's a fun brand without trying to be funny.
And when opening this little chocolate bar, I do recognize something that I thought was really ingenious. Because wait a moment. Doesn't it normally come with these squared pieces? What's happening?
Which we thought was a bit boring. And we wanted our bar to reflect the unequally divided world of cocoa. So by making a completely unequally divided chocolate bar, we tell the story of the cocoa industry in its purest form. And we do that because simply in the beginning, we didn't have any means of doing big marketing campaigns. So everything we did was word of mouth. Just telling a story and creating that movement. And we just held on to that. So we still don't do any paid media. It's really still telling the story, creating awareness. At the same time, also more and more taking our responsibility of showing the rest of the industry that they can do this as well. So it's really about inspiring other companies to take their responsibility, whilst at the same time, and I think that's really something that you're keen on too, coming from the hero trap, whilst at the same time building a movement of consumers that feel like they are part of that change, part of that movement, and they can actually have a bit of a say in that even.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key things, obviously, in the methodology that we're launching in the masterclass is, in fact, to avoid the sort of typical purposeful brands that say, "Oh, we're the heroes, we're doing all the work." And what I really like about Chocolonely is the fact that you sort of empower people. I actually can make a choice when I'm in the supermarket. I can choose to go for X chocolate bar with chocolate coming from wherever in Ghana under whatever labor conditions, or I can actually choose the Chocolonely.
Yeah, and I would say there's probably a chocolatier somewhere in the Swiss Alps that makes nicer chocolate than we do.
Yeah.
But I do think we're the nicest and most surprising chocolate available on shelf for the average consumer. And for them, standing right in front of that shelf, we try to make it simple.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it's not about selling more bars of Tony's, but it's about creating awareness so that people actually have the feeling that they can make a change through their shopping basket.
And one thing I actually love, and you, for those of you who don't know Ynzo yet, you'll definitely know this is one of the funniest Dutch guys. I don't know how the bar and funny Dutch guys are, but he's definitely one of them. And it does really come across in the brand that it's so often, I think, sustainability ends up being doom and gloom, and it's just a heartbreaking topic, in fact. But just the way that you do communicate this, I think it has this.
Yeah, well, and people sometimes think that we're trying to be funny. It's not really about being funny. It's really about just having a equal conversation with somebody. Yeah. So and when you're sitting at the bar, you sometimes make a bit of a joke, and there's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek left and right. But in the end, when you work on such a serious subject as we do, you better make it as fun as possible. Otherwise, people are burned out within a week. Yeah. So we're trying to make the office fun, our communication fun. We're trying to make it fun for people to be part of that movement too. Right? It is all doom. Well, no, it isn't all doom and gloom in the cocoa industry, honestly, because there's amazingly proud farmers there. There's amazingly good stuff happening as well. But at the same time, there's a bitter side to that story that we need to change, and we can. We're convinced of that.
And so for those who have just joined, this is basically the launch of Masterclass. It's an online endeavor to, at your own pace, learn more about how to build meaningful brands, how to build transformative brands, and the marketing that follows. So this is really your opportunity to get a lot of tools and tricks in an easy way, at your own pace, at home, whenever. And obviously, if you want to know more and you want to converse with us a little bit and ask questions, ask us on Twitter at thomaskolster. You can ask the questions to me and Ynzo from Tony's. For those of you who just tuned in and don't know Tony, you ought to know Tony, because it's the best tasting chocolate in the world and doesn't give you a bad taste in the mouth, because it is in fact slavery free. You've been in this space for, we're both two young guys, right?
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks.
Let's say plus 5 years. Plus 5 years.
Max.
Yeah, max. And obviously, Tony's have, probably also some years on his back. It's becoming a teenager right now. It's in fact in its 16th year. Right?
Exactly. So we're sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Damn, I can't remember that back then. But can you see this space changing? Because from the early beginning to today, do you see people responding differently to what you do?
Oh, definitely. And we're far from reaching the point that we need to reach within the cocoa industry, honestly, because we now work directly with 8,500 farmers, but there's more than 2.5 million farms just in Ghana and Ivory Coast. So there's a long way to go. But at the same time, I do believe we're making a bigger impact than the amount of bars that we're selling, because people are noticing us. And when you're being noticed, people start copying you. That's the only reason we want to grow, right? Yeah. It's not growth for the sake of growth. It's really for people to start noticing us. And so you see brands moving. You see a lot more awareness amongst consumers about chocolate, but also obviously a broader sense of consumption patterns. So you do see a change, but is it fast enough according to us? No, definitely not.
But also see, because that's one of the things that I've sometimes experienced in the space when people say, as I think it's very similar to Danish culture, in fact, that you don't like to brag too much, but you like to show actions through what you do, good deeds through what you do. But at least what I've seen is that, as you say, the competition is getting harsher, and maybe somebody who actually doesn't deserve the good spot is suddenly getting a lot of that attention. And I've started seeing you do campaigns. There was a campaign out recently where you, so to say, teased some of the other kids in the chocolate class.
Yeah, we made a couple of bars that let me clothe myself in legal stuff. Exactly. That I heard somebody say looked a lot like, say, a Twix or a Toblerone.
It did,
or
right?
Kit Kat.
Yeah. But who knows? Who knows what that was? Yes, exactly.
And that was really, but on a more serious note, that was really to show them that you could make their bars, which are iconic bars, obviously, in the chocolate industry. And a lot of these companies are doing good stuff, but we wanted to show them that it can be better, that you can actually make those bars with ethically sourced cocoa beans. And that was a nice little run that we had. And then there was a bit of a pushback. So then we said, okay, then we'll keep them in our regular assortment. So you can now buy them really in retail on a daily basis.
But I guess that also shows how we need to be, as brands, a little bit more edgy. We need to fight a little bit more for the space that we early on maybe had a little bit more for ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, and you need to watch out. I think us as a small company, we're going through growing pains from a startup to a scale up to an international company. You need to make sure that you keep those edges, right? And that is a cultural thing within a company. It's a pity if you lose those edges, because that probably made you where you are now. And at the same time, I also think that you need to watch out. I think you need to stay humble as a brand, humble and vulnerable, and realize that we're not perfect, and we can't communicate perfection either. But we can communicate something that we see in the industry that we're in that we need to fix. Are we perfect? No. But can we help everyone reaching a higher level of perfection? Definitely.
So what we're here right now doing is we're discussing pitfalls, opportunities for brands in this exciting space. And this is, in fact, the launch of Masterclass, our little training platform where you can dive into immersive videos, exercises, etc., and learn how to build a meaningful brand that truly matters to people, and the marketing behind to activate it. And I'm joined here by Ynzo from a brand that I really absolutely love, Tony's. They do chocolate, and chocolate isn't fair, as you can see on this little chocolate bar here. If you have any questions, do ask them on Twitter. But I'm going to follow up what you said on maybe boldness, because I know you worked for. You just mentioned that you worked for Innocent Juice back in the days.
Innocent Drinks.
Yeah, and Innocent Drinks, exactly. 3 years back now, but
a while ago.
A while ago, and in fact, I had Innocent as one of the cases in my first book, Good Advertising, when it was kind of still run by the original founders that came up with a little knitted hat idea that I absolutely loved. Basically, the concept was to support senior citizens in the UK. They did these knitted hats that they added to the bottles, and it just stood out in the retail space. I absolutely loved it. But it almost seemed to me that since, and sorry about that, Coke, but it seems like since you bought this little company, they haven't really had that same magic. So I think, is that not a fair assessment?
Well, on the one hand, you can't blame them.
Yeah.
Right? I believe in this volcano entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So you need to go through the volcano. At the end, you explode, you go out, and there's new stuff coming up from the bottom. That's how it should work.
Yeah.
But in that travel towards the summit of the volcano, you need to bounce around a bit and make a difference. And I think Innocent has done that.
Yeah.
I think it's really opened the eyes for fresh juices instead of bubbly, sparkling sugar waters for kids, for example. And also showed that you could have fruit on the go. Because honestly, let's face it, when they started, what we had was orange juice in our cupboard, which you could have there for 3 years without problems. You would give that to your guests. Now you can't imagine doing that anymore. So that's the space that changed. And I think even though indeed sometimes you think it's a bit too Coke, they're still making a difference. But it's time for the new kids again. So.
But maybe it's just, which is another thing. Maybe it's just, it is tough to be big. Yeah. In fact, and you're talking about now also growing pains and different challenges from Tony's. It's much easier to be the challenger brand. It's one of the things that I talk about in the masterclass as well. Is in fact that when Ben & Jerry's started, I absolutely loved the company. I love what they stood for. The two old guys, Ben and Jerry. Them joining the B Corp movement, I think, is one of the first ones within Unilever, right? But today you kind of look at the product and you're like, it is sort of becoming a little bit bland, industrialized sort of bucket of ice cream. So it's difficult to find that balance also, because it seems like, especially food and beverages, it's moving so fast, I think.
Yeah, but for them the same thing goes. I think if it's also becoming bland because we got used to it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And anything
they carved out a niche.
Yeah. If you keep doing the same thing, it's just not as surprising anymore. Does that mean you're not doing the right thing? No, I think they're doing the right thing. If you look at the ice cream shelf, so to speak, they've made a difference. But then it's time again for the more activist tiny brands to fill the space.
Yeah.
And I also think Ben & Jerry's has bounced back. I think they've become more activist than they were a while ago, which I like. But it is more corporate activism nowadays. Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can say they reach more people who probably never thought about this stuff before, which is, I think, a pivotal role for a lot of bigger brands. Because for those who maybe cannot afford a chocolate bar that's been sailed by boat and with a guy who goes well into the jungle to find his little tribe that he can pick the cocoa beans from. For those average people who just want to go down in the supermarket and enjoy the taste of chocolate, there is that.
Yeah, and there's a role for those companies to play that I think also Tony's plays, which is not really staying in that niche of entrepreneurship, but showing the mainstream of entrepreneurship that there's a new norm to be set. And within their value chains and within their business models, you can show the other big players that it can be done, right? I think that is the role that a Ben & Jerry's plays, that a Tony's plays, that a Innocent Drinks plays.
So these are just some key lessons we're discussing right now. Obviously, this is the launch of Masterclass, our most immersive online platform. More than 14 video lessons, lots of questions, lots of exercises, etc. And if you have any questions, you can always ask them on Twitter at thomaskolster, and you can also see that on the screen. That is that easy today. Digital is amazing, right?
Amazing. I also find it amazing that you're on Instagram and asking for questions on Twitter. I like that.
Yeah, fuck Zuckerberg. Don't record that. That was not what I meant at all. In fact, that was not what I meant. I think social media brings us closer, and it's a community, and we absolutely love you guys tuning in on a Wednesday at whatever time it is, 4:25, and that's exactly the thing also. Why are we launching a masterclass? We are launching a masterclass because it's learning at your own pace. So you don't have to sit and wait around and listen to two old hacks from Tony's and Thomas from Good Advertising, trying to teach you all sorts of lessons around how to avoid creating brands that run into the hero trap. But just to kind of finish this off while we wait for some of the questions coming in as well. Any good advice? I mean, for people in this space, I think, as we said introductory-wise, it's almost like a harder space to navigate in than it was before. I think with the first book, I felt, wow, it's easy. If you just stand for something and if you shout loud enough, you've got to carve out your niche. But do you have any good advice for brands today that either kind of want to pivot, or maybe some startup brands that are looking to the amazing journey of Tony's and thinking how to get started?
Interesting. Normally, I would give you the answer of a triple focus.
Yeah.
And I'll happily give that later on. But now that you said it's all about people shouting what they stand for, I remember a wise guy, honestly, one of the founders of Innocent Drinks, who used to say, if everybody's shouting, then maybe you should start whispering. And I kind of like that approach, right? So instead of going out big and bold, maybe just have a normal, equal conversation with somebody. And instead of going for brand awareness, go for issue awareness, right? Or brand loyalty directly, right? I often used to do this test with my students when I was teaching. I would tell them, I would say, so let's talk about brand awareness. Who knows the brand Cadillac? I know the hands would go up. And then I would say, who drives or has ever driven, or whose father has ever driven a Cadillac? No hands would go up. So I say, so what's brand awareness worth to you, right? For a brand called Cadillac. Go for brand loyalty directly. But going back to the triple focus, I would say the success of a brand like Tony's, but even before that for Innocent Drinks, was focus on product. One simple product. Don't go too wide too soon, right? We could go into merchandising, chocolate sprinkles, which the Dutch are crazy about, chocolate paste, chocolate milk, but we stuck to chocolate. Why? Because that makes the biggest difference for the cocoa farmers that we do this for. Two would be focus on purpose, or however you want to call it, right? Mission, vision, the why, purpose, whatever. You're better at that, and your book is amazing for that. A little bit of compliment to yours. So focus on this purpose. For us, everything we can do, we can test with our compass. How does it help our mission of 100% slavery-free chocolate, right, worldwide? And the third, that has always been really, I think, maybe the most important for a company like Tony's, was the team that you do that with, right? Because you work on such a serious subject. Never underestimate the power of the people in your team to realize that mission. So we work on that, as we said, that harsh issue, and we have fun with the brand, but we also have fun with the team in the office on a daily basis. We take people seriously. We don't have maximum holidays. So we just try to really focus on team. The most engaged and committed team. We measure of those two axes. So focus product, focus mission, focus team would be my answer to anybody who wants to, maybe whether it's pivoting or even steering by with 1%, right? Because I love that statistic. If you change 1% per day, you've changed 100% in 70 days, right? It can be that simple.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think one of the key things that I want to add to that as well is, in fact, that the saying and the doing approach and pitching your brand as the hero probably won't cut it that much in the marketplace anymore. It is really kind of helping people on their little journey, whether that is towards a more fair world of chocolates, or whether that is for people to live healthier, more connected, or be more conscious. And that's exactly why one of the key pillars in this masterclass is to focus on who can you help people become, and the arrow, really trying to understand how you can enable people. Because by the end of the day, there's only so much one company can do within itself. By the end of the day, it's often how that product is used, being in the hands of consumers, or the power that, and I hate calling them consumers, in fact, people, people who are consumers. We're not defined by that role, but the role that people essentially can play. Anyways, this was a short little down-to-earth introduction to Masterclass. I hope it made you a little bit more wise about some of the conversations that you might find help with in this Masterclass. And as I said, it's really for us to create something that's empowering you to take learning into your own hands. And one of the key learnings, of course, being don't pitch your brand as the hero, but make people the hero in their own narrative. And so I couldn't be happier than that I'm doing this little afternoon talk with you here.
Nice. Here in Amsterdam, in Holland. Can I emphasize that again to a Danish guy?
Exactly. I'm actually, yeah, I'm not even playing on home field today.
No, exactly. I feel very much at home, even though I'm stuck in a hotel room here in a dodgy place in Amsterdam with you, Thomas.
He said dodgy, but it didn't mean he didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. So not to bore people anymore. I mean, Ynzo had his ginger tea earlier. We have 8 chocolate bars to finish today. I can for sure need it. Anyways, all of you, this is your last little chance to get some of the first spots at Masterclass. We're selling all 30 spots at $199. Usually they're $399. So we hope that you're going to support this learning journey of ours. We put a lot of effort into building this thing, and give us a heads up. Do you like it? What do you want more of? Enough with this BS, guys. Let's hear something different. Your feedback is welcome. But again, thank you so much for listening in today. And, what can I say? Be the change, 1% each day, and you changed 100% in 100 days. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I can only say yeah. I never think you're too small to make a difference.
Exactly. That's something, a quote about a mosquito. But as we're wrapping up the live stream, we have my dear colleague Nabantu in the background, and she will be wrapping up this live stream, as we will on Instagram. I'm going to put on the weird face when I move towards the end all button. So see you all at Instagram. See you all wherever you're at. Pleasure being joined by you here today.